Good morning. Welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Wednesday, the 28th of January, 2009. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London, 9:30 a.m. in Mexico City. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL Instant Mail address is CATEX TV. On this day in history, in 1986, the U.S. space shuttle, the Challenger, exploded shortly after liftoff at Cape Canaveral down in Florida, killing all 7 astronauts. We have a breaking story that's coming in. The TV footage of this actually is quite graphic. It's coming from Nairobi, Kenya. Thousands of people have streamed out of their offices in downtown Nairobi as a massive fire has engulfed a supermarket, sending plumes of black smoke into the sky. The authorities are investigating the fire and trying to determine whether there are any casualties. The smoke forced nearby office buildings to evacuate. Police used whips to beat back crowds trying to get a closer look at the blaze. Now to our main news. State Farm, Florida's second largest property insurer, said yesterday that it's pulling out of the Florida home insurance marketplace. This coming only 2 weeks after being turned down for a 47% average rate increase by a state regulator. State Farm said it has filed plans to discontinue its Florida property insurance product because of, quote, its substantially weakened financial position related to its inability to obtain approval of what it believes to be adequate property insurance rates. Florida Insurance Commissioner Kevin McCarty, back in mid-January, had upheld an administrative law judge's ruling that State Farm had not proven a case for an increase. In a statement today, McCarty said, although this is disappointing news for Floridians who've been loyal customers of State Farm, we're not surprised by their decision to stop offering all property insurance in Florida. He said the insurance department had been hearing for months of possible plans to make such a move. He, quote, promised to do everything within my power to protect Florida consumers from unnecessary destabilization of the insurance market. It's also important that State Farm customers understand, said the commissioner, that his office must first approve the insurer's plan. The office has 90 days in which to do that. If that plan is approved, State Farm must then provide 180 days notice to customers before any policies can be non-renewed. State Farm said in a statement, this is not an action we wanted to take, but one we must take given the realities of the Florida property insurance market. Christian Milton, a former vice president at AIG, was sentenced to 4 years in prison yesterday for defrauding shareholders. He did, however, avoid a possible life term. The 61-year-old Milton was convicted back in February along with 4 executives, former executives of General Reinsurance Corporation, of using a sham transaction to help AIG improve its balance sheet. The judge could have given Mr. Milton a life sentence after ruling that the fraud had cost AIG shareholders as much as $597 million. Milton had asked U.S. District Judge Christopher Droney for a, quote, minimal term, citing his good work in the community. The judge said that while life in prison would be too severe, the sentence must deter other executives, and that Milton's conduct had shown a stark lack of honesty and respect for investors. The judge said Mr. Milton's participation in this fraud was critical to its success and particularly disturbing. He surely knew it was a scam from the start. The judge also imposed a $200,000 fine and ordered 2 years of supervised release after Milton's term ends. Milton is a legal permanent resident of the U.S. He faces deportation to England after his prison term. Prosecutors said that Milton played a central role in a transaction that began back in October of 2000 with a phone call from former AIG CEO Maurice Greenberg. He could have and should have told Mr. Greenberg that this was a shady deal and he would have had nothing to do with it. This is according to the Assistant U.S. Attorney Raymond Patrico. He told this to the judge yesterday. Instead, Mr. Milton became the point man for the deal. Milton was fired from AIG in March of 2005. Several days later, he was hired by Mr. Greenberg at CV and Star. Mr. Milton now makes $425,000 a year at Star. According to Patrico, to this day, Mr. Greenberg remains his boss and holds the purse strings. The London syndicate and insurer Chaucer is pursuing a £75 million rights issue to address a capital shortfall. Chaucer has been approached by rival Nové Group over a possible merger. It's decided to raise £75 million in a rights issue as it responds to its capital shortfall. The firm is placing over 17 million shares and placing an open offer of 182 million shares at 40 pence per share. This represents a 15% discount to its closing price yesterday. In a London Stock Exchange announcement this morning, Chaucer said that £69 million of the net proceeds will be deposited as funds at Lloyd's, FAL, to cover net solvency deficits. Willis is making some news. They've hired 17 specialty casualty reinsurance brokers from RK Carville, including its senior management, this according to the Insurance Insider. The team will be led by Carville co-CEOs John Cavanaugh and David Thompson. They're coming along with Andrew Newman, a director of Carville's London-based specialty casualty practice. The trio will join Willis Re as executive vice presidents and managing directors, reporting to Patty Jago, CEO of Willis Re's North America operation. The brokers will be based out of Willis Re's U.S. and U.K. offices. The Insurance Insider understands that the executives will start joining Willis next week in staggered order once they've discharged their current obligations with Carville. As we noted yesterday, stories are abounding that these brokers are leaving Carville with their books, and that Carville is encouraging this. EquiCat, based out in Oakland, California, is saying that its high-end preliminary estimate for the insured loss caused by the weekend's windstorm Claus that tore through France and Spain is up to over $6 billion U.S. According to EquiCat, insured losses are expected to be in the range of 800 million euros to 2.5 billion euros for France and a similar amount for Spain. The storm impacted northern Spain and southern France with maximum observed wind gusts of up to 120 miles per hour in Spain and gusts of 114 reported in southern France. The storm left a path of heavy destruction stretching from approximately Bordeaux on the Mediterranean French coast all the way down to northern Spain. According to Meteo France, the storm carried some of the strongest winds since records began. Over 1 million households had power knocked out, and waves as high as 70 feet were recorded off northern Spain's vast coast. The noise you're hearing in the background is related to our own storm. There are snow plows outside our window. We had about 4 inches of snow here last night, and we have a little update on U.S. weather, which will be our first story after the break. Stock market in New York is up about 126 points. In the northeastern U.S., utility companies and road crews are preparing for the worst today as a winter storm has barreled into our area. These are while officials in other parts of the country already hit hard by the blast are warning that it may be days before some communities have electricity again. The storm's been blamed for at least 20 deaths. It's shuttered government offices and kept students home from dozens of schools from the southern plains to the east coast. Here's a little bit of a rundown. With more than a foot of snow